I've talked about this on the show before where I didn't want to get into this rabbit hole. But because of this news, we're going to get into that rabbit hole tonight. So that's why I want to hear from you guys. Because I have said for weeks, maybe even months, that the Bills' window to win the Super Bowl is in these next 2 years. And I can't remember, someone commented on this a couple of weeks ago when we got into this discussion. And I love the way he phrased it because he said the playoff window is always open with Josh Allen, but the Super Bowl window is only open every so often. And I was like, that is a great way of saying it because if you have Josh Allen, you're always going to be in contention, at least playoff contention. But with the roster that Beane and McDermott have built, this is a 4-year program essentially where we're at the halfway mark right now. 2020, yeah, they had a solid team, but you could see in the AFC Championship game that they weren't ready yet. You reload 21, a great season, great start to the playoffs, and really that divisional game against Kansas City was great. It's just the ending was devastating. But that team right there, mixed in with the team that we had last year in 2022, those were two really, really well put together rosters by Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott because, they're in this together. So we're at that halfway point right now where I'm thinking by 2024, by the end of that 24 season, we have to win a Super Bowl. Because when you look at it, you're going to have potentially Von Miller off this team, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, maybe Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs. If they don't win one in the next couple of years, after what we saw this offseason, I could definitely see him trying to force his way out of town. Josh Allen will be, 29 years old, so he'll still be in his prime, but he won't be as mobile as he is right now. You're not going to get that cowboy ball Josh Allen anymore at that age. The defensive line, I don't want to say it will be in shambles, but right now, Ed Oliver is the only defensive tackle signed past this year. You have all of these guys on one-year deals. Leonard Floyd, Poona Ford. If you want to go to the defensive backfield, Cameron Dantzler. So the way they built it has been 1 to 2 year contracts. Going back to Daquan Jones and Tim Settle last year, 2-year deals. Now they have 1 year left. And then you have guys like Matt Milano, Deion Dawkins, Trey White. Those guys will either be up for new contracts or getting close, not to mention their ages will be getting up there as well. So this team right here for the next 2 years is crucial. This is the best opportunity in my lifetime for this team to win a Super Bowl. And if they can't get it done, then I really don't know when they will be able to win a Super Bowl. And again, the window is always open with Josh Allen as your quarterback. But for all the reasons that I just laid out, it's 2 years right now. The window is wide open, and they have to take advantage of that. Chris says, go Bills. I disagree with Colin Cowherd on my beanie as what they've built is amazing. If we can't get to the promised land in the next 3 years, then fine, move on at that point. Okay, so Chris says 3 years, and I think someone else said 3 years too. I'm saying 2 for that window that I laid out there. I mean, you really could go on 3 years because that's what, the 23 season, 24, and 25. So that would be a little bit more than halfway through this extension because they are extended for the next 5 seasons, 23, 24, 25, 26, and then 27. So I say 2, you could say 3, but I think really after 25, then that's going to reach that point where it's like, okay, Josh Allen's 30, Von Miller's retired, Jordan Poyer's retired, Micah Hyde is retired. We have to retool the wide receiver room, the defensive line. We got to rebuild that. So 2 to 3 years is this window. And again, I don't want to fire Sean McDermott or Brandon Beane for that matter. But if they lay another egg in the playoffs this year, those conversations are going to ramp up. And even after next year, let's say they lose a wild card round. They can't even get out of the first round. I still don't think I want to fire McDermott unless it's just so abysmal or, they only win 7 games and can't even make the playoffs next year. I'm just not there yet where I want to think about firing Sean McDermott, the guy who led us to this prime spot. But if they do that a second year in a row and then a third year in a row, and really if you mix it in with the previous 2 or 3 seasons, we're going on 5-6 years here where you might say, okay, it's time for a change. We got to get an offensive minded head coach in here. Trey Williams says the Pagulas want stability to parlay into their new stadium. It's a lot different motive than rabid fans that would trade one ring for anything. That's a very good point because The new stadium is set to open in 2026. Now, Beane and McDermott are there for the first 2 seasons. And I think for everything that they've done to build this team and this organization, I think the Pagulas want to say, we want you to be there for when the stadium is officially built. You've gotten us there, but we're going to keep you here to help finish it. So that's a very good point, Trey. I was going to mention that and it slipped my mind. Now, that shouldn't get in the way of trying to win a Super Bowl, because if you get too buddy-buddy with these guys and say, oh, thank you, here's a pat on the back, here's a new contract extension, thank you for everything you've done, then it could snowball into, well, we don't want to fire you yet because we're best friends and, yada, yada, the relationships that we built. And then all of a sudden you're looking at 2027, 2028, and it's like, oh, we still haven't gotten back to the AFC Championship game. So it's a very fine line that you have to balance here. And I think we can all agree, at least most of us, the window is over the next few years where it's wide open, and then we'll take it from there.